Welcome into AFL Weekly, the road to Arena Bowl 33, brought to you by Riverside. I'm your host, Joshua Cox. First show in a few weeks, so we'll get to a lot that's been happening around the league here later on the last few weeks and to look ahead to the next weekends of games. But first, we have a special guest. Our guest today was become the first female player and first female to score a point in an AFL game a couple weeks ago. We welcome into the Riverside studio the kicker for the Washington Wolfpack, Miss Melissa Strother. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
First off, a couple off-the-field questions. I saw that you're a Lakers, Dodgers, and Dolphins fan. How did you become a fan of those teams? And what's your favorite sport outside of football?
Born and raised in LA, so Lakers, Dodgers was just in my blood. I'm pretty sure I was like a 4-year-old, saw the Dolphins, and were like, I love Dolphins, that's my team. And they loyal to today, so.
Both coasts represented.
Exactly.
Outside of football, you do some stuff with the LA Rams. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I coach with their community side. I do some of their elite performance camps, coaching wide receivers, quarterbacks, kickers, punters, and do a lot of the play 60s, which is great, going to elementaries, getting the kids active.
How did you get into that?
Wanted to give back to football. Football has given me so much in my life. This is my 15th season playing, and it really has. I've grown as a person, as a football player, and I really wanted to give back to the community.
In the last year or so here, you wrote a book. Tell us a little about the book you wrote.
Yeah, it's actually my 7th book. It's called Play for Her. It went through my journey to play professional football, from starting in women's football to trying to develop this professional women's league, and then through COVID and the politics and into my first year playing men's professional football. It's a crazy story, and so much of it is like, this is a movie, this can't be real. But it was my journey to get to where I am.
What got you into writing to start with?
I think it's just a storytelling. You know, everybody in this world has a story to tell, and as I was going through the process, it was just going through so many things and so many emotions and so many thoughts, and just wanted to put it down on paper. And maybe those thoughts, maybe those feelings, maybe the growth that I went through could help someone else in their own journey.
Let's start out to kind of dive into your career a little bit now and kind of growing up. So growing up, what sports did you play, and at what point did football come on your radar?
I played soccer since I was knee-high to a duck. I think I came out playing soccer. First love, absolutely loved the sport. I also played baseball. Very difficult process, kind of what I'm going through now. They didn't allow females to play, and I kept asking why, and just kept hounding them until they let me play. I got into swimming around the same time. My sister was a big swimmer and followed in her footsteps. High school, played volleyball, soccer, and softball. Then soccer in college. Was recruited as soon as I graduated. Was recruited as a receiver to start playing women's football right after college.
What's the difference, kind of, because you played soccer and then kicked in football? What's the difference between the two as far as the ball and like to do that?
Yeah, it's very similar and very, very different. I think the approach is one of those things that people really have to be strict and disciplined with. In soccer, you can kind of tippy-tap your feet into the strike. A lot of soccer players can easily transition into kicking. For me, the first few years I didn't kick. I was a wide receiver and free safety, and someone went, "Wait, you played soccer? You should try kicking. Oh, you were a goalkeeper? You should try punting." And I taught myself. I went on Google, watched how other people did it, recorded myself, trial and error, and learned how to figure out what's the best way for me to get the most distance and power on my kicks.
You talked about there a little bit. You played 13 years in the Women's Football Alliance. How did you get into that league? And tell us a little about the league in general, what that's kind of like.
Yeah, I played in 3 different leagues. The journey of women's football. It's a lot like indoor. You have a lot going on, a lot of different leagues competing to be the top. So I started out in the IWFL, then went to the WFA, and then my last couple years playing was WNFC, which is right now one of the top leagues that's really pushing to become professional. 13 years, most of them with two teams. I played for California Quake and then San Diego Surge. Um, very successful organizations, played in, I don't even know, 5, 6 championship games, something like that. In 2012, we won the national championship at Heinz Field. We're the only female football team to ever play in an NFL stadium and win a national championship. So, phenomenal memories, played against phenomenal people, and each person with their own amazing story. Women pay to play football, and they put their bodies on the line, and it's growing, it's developing. There's a huge push in female athletes right now in female sports, and excited to watch its continued growth.
You seem like a West Coast person. All your talking stuff
Yes,
on the West Coast.
yes. Born and raised LA, spent most of I've traveled all over everywhere, but West Coast for sure.
So after 13 years of that, you transitioned for the first time in the men's league. I know you played for Rapid City. Tell us about that experience and that transition over to play at Rapid City.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. Um, I think the first year in Rapid City was an expansion team. The ownership, the GMs, we went through multiple GMs. I think we had 3 different owners within the season. We were kicked out of the hotels. We lost food. It was just a struggle all the way around, which a lot of teams go through. For me, there was really high points and really low points. Fans that would, the kids after games wanting autographs and pictures, and females that were so empowered by me being there was absolutely amazing. And then you have the ugly side of it where I got death threats and, so many angry, hateful messages. And so it was really one of those seasons where I learned a lot about myself, just how to go through those things and how to manage all that. And so much of that I've been able to build in and grow to this season, and how I deal with some of the highs and lows.
Transition to this season, coming to the AFL, had you ever heard of the AFL? What was that process like for you?
Yeah, I was so excited when the AFL came back. First time with Minnesota Myth for the training camp. The AFL has such a rich history in arena football, and you can see the path to success and the long-term success of the league and of these teams. And I was really excited when it first announced, and then when I signed originally with Minnesota.
Yeah, transition there. You started out with Minnesota. Didn't work out there. It's probably that great in hindsight that it didn't. Tell us about ending up in Washington and how that kind of worked out.
Yeah, I was released after training camp. Just they decided to go a different direction. Drove back 30 however many hours back to California. Went right back into training. Kind of stay ready so you don't have to get ready. At that point, slightly considered like this might be it. This might be forced retirement and going full time into coaching. And a Wednesday morning, I got the call from JR in the Washington Wolfpack and said, "We want you here. Get here by tomorrow night." Hopped in my car, drove, it was like 19 hours up to Washington, and practiced that night.
What's it been like in Washington so far? What's your experience been like?
Amazing. Amazing. This is an incredible organization, incredible ownership. So excited to be a part of this team. So excited about the future for this team. There's very much a path to success, and we can see it, and we can see the hard work that's developing here and building this organization. You can see it in the community coming into the games. It's just, I am so proud to be here and so proud to be a part of this team.
Your head coach, J.R. Wells, I've had him on the show a couple times. I got to know him a little bit. Brings a lot of energy, very intense guy. What's it like playing for him?
He is intense. I love it. In my heart, I'm wide receiver, free safety, and I'm yelling and I'm crazy. But as a kicker, it's like calm, cool, collected, stay even keel. So like having the guys all around me screaming and going crazy, it hypes the team up. It hypes the fans up. he gets into the opponent's head as much as any of the players. So it's awesome.
Yeah, he's fired up during interviews. I can imagine during practice and games. So.
Yeah.
Uh, so a couple weeks ago, you become the first female player to score a point in an AFL game and to play in an AFL game. What does that mean to you? And you hope people will follow you.
It's so much bigger than me. I think when I played women's football, it was all about me. I wanted to step on the field. I wanted to dominate. I wanted to make a name for myself. Now it's about creating a path for those who want to follow. I'm at towards the end of my career, and it's not about me anymore. It's about what can I do to help those who want to do this? What can I do to make it easier for them than it was for me? And it's great to be in the history books. It's great to be the first to do anything, but at the end of the day, it's more important for me that I'm not the last, and that what I do matters and has an impact.
Yeah, do you think you can inspire little girls to be able to see that they can play football one day too?
Absolutely. I even after games, little girls coming up, I love football. We went to a flag tournament and a bunch of little girls out there going, I love this game. I want to play. And when you can see her, you can be her. So regardless of indoor, outdoor contact, flag, like just being out there and them seeing me tells them they can do it too.
Let's talk about the team a little bit. The team struggled to 0-4 start, had a good chance to win this last weekend and fell short. What do you think the team needs to do to kind of get going and get some wins on the board here the next few weeks?
Yeah, we're right there. We're right there. And we know it. We can feel it. We can see it. The crowd knows it. We can hear them. We're right there. And it's really just, at the end of the day, it's execution. We're a first year team. We're coming together. We're putting it all together. So you have those struggles. But we can see the improvements on each week. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for. You focus on the outcome, but the reality is it's about the process. So each day of practice, each game, we get better, we execute better, and those outcomes will come. I guarantee you, they will come.
What's it been like getting ready for Rapid City this week?
Excited. For me, I'm excited, to get to play my old team. But at the end of the day, it's you versus you. We come into each game. It doesn't matter who our opponent is. We need to come and we need to execute. We need to be disciplined. We need to be focused. So, yes, there's a little extra on it because it's Rapid City for me. But at the end of the day, when I step on the field, it's me versus me. It's my teammates. We have each other's back, and we're going to war.
What's been your favorite thing about playing in Washington or just playing in the AFL in general the last couple of weeks?
I think for me, really in Washington, it's creating this new fan base, coming out and doing these interviews, going out to different communities and talking with the people, being able to, from scratch, really build and grow this organization and letting the fans get to know us, right? You can care about a team over the long run, but they really want to get to know the players. And I love that part because, again, it all comes back to that story. Like my story, my teammates' stories, the fan stories, all coming together to build this and grow this into a huge success.
Last question for you. What is your goal for the rest of your career and what do you still want to accomplish?
Ooh, goals. I think I start every season with huge goals. Um, this year again, it's so much bigger than me. It's not about certain stats or all stars. It's really about getting involved in this community and building this team. When I first got to the team, coach asked, "Why are you here?" And I'm here to put up points, and I'm here to get involved in the community. So those remain my goals, um, and I'm really excited to watch this organization grow and develop.
Melissa, we appreciate your time. Best of luck tomorrow night against Rapid City.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks to Melissa for coming on. Appreciate her time tonight, guys. Lots and lots has happened in the last few weeks. I've kind of stayed silent and wanted to gather information and really not a lot to go off of certainty. A lot of uncertainty around the league the last few weeks. So it's been really hard to have a show. But now, as things have calmed down, thank goodness, It has been a really tiring last few weeks from just somebody that covers the league. I can't imagine what it's been like for ownerships and players and everybody else. Been a really tiring process. The biggest nightmare that we maybe even couldn't imagine happened. And so glad that process is over from the last few weeks. And we got a little bit more certainty going forward. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. We're going to kind of start talking about this from my perspective of how things kind of went down the last few weeks. Everything seemed good from everything that I'd heard about the Tuesday before game week. Late Tuesday night of the first game week, I got word that the Gray TV deal was maybe going to fall through, which at the time didn't think that was a huge deal. A lot of the games could go to streaming, whatnot, and didn't think that was really that big a deal at the time. And then as Wednesday progressed, I started to get word that there was issues with the NFL Network deal. There was an emergency owners meeting called on Wednesday night. I don't believe the former commissioner, Lee Hutton, was a part of that meeting. But there was a lot of uncertainty going into the first week. Things didn't feel right. I made the trip to Nashville for the Cat Smith game. And just things seemed really off. I didn't know what was going to happen with the league. We found out, I believe, Monday that Iowa folded. And then on Tuesday, I started to get word from multiple sources that Lee Hutton was probably going to be out as commissioner, and he was going to be replaced by Jeff Fisher. And so I was really hoping that was going to happen. I really liked Jeff Fisher. I grew up in his heyday with the Titans in Tennessee. I've watched his interviews, been around him for a long time, and so really liked him. I've always liked him, and glad that ended up working out. But the next few weeks was really tiring because the way it was set up, Lee Hutton had to resign to be forced out. I don't really even know the situation and how. I haven't really got much word of how that actually happened or come to be because what I'd heard for 2 weeks that he had to resign. And so really tiring process. He wouldn't give up. I think it took the myth shutting down to finally make him give up. So just everything that we heard from the Georgia situation after week one, players not getting paid, the Louisiana situation, the goalposts, the walls, it's everything going on in Louisiana. James Shiver, their head coach, he did a lot of work with the best. He did the best with that situation he could have. He got no help from the league, which is disappointing. That was going to be a good team too. So really disappointing there. And then you had the Oregon situation. A lot of safety issues. There's a lot of things that both Lee Hutton and Travell Gaines didn't do a good job with, and that we really didn't know up until the season. Had very little communication over time. Pretty well connected, but had very little communication with Lee Hutton over the months. I'd been in contact with Travell Gaines some. He was always good to me. I had no issues with him. But, yeah, in the end, that was really hard. And it's been a really tiring last few weeks. Kind of caught my breath the last week here. But it's a lot of things happen that shouldn't have happened. And I like to stay positive. I want to move forward. I think there's things that I definitely may have overlooked, being a little bit optimistic. But at the same time, I think there's just a lot of things we didn't know at the time, too, that kind of led to that, too. And so, really bad situation. But I feel really good about where the league's at right now. Not for necessarily for this season, but for the future. I believe the ownerships groups are very well solid that we have left. The 10-11 teams. They want to press forward and they want to make this league successful. I think it will be successful. And I think it's because of the ownership groups that's represented. Yeah, but want to press forward. Don't want to dig into every single thing that happened, but just glad it's over. Very tiring process, and ready to look forward to the future. Excited about Jeff Fisher. I don't know how long he'll be in this role, but would say for the next year and a half or so. I think he's 66 years old, so definitely not a long-term deal here. But hopefully he can get this back to stability, get us connected with the NFL Network, and just bring some integrity and dignity back to the league. If you haven't saw it, I have an article up about Fisher becoming the commissioner on Twitter and our Instagram too. So go look at that if you want to see more details about that and kind of Fisher's past and how that will help him be successful in this role. So very excited about the future, and hope we get through this season strong. We have an Arena Bowl, still some good football games left, good football teams, and really looking forward to the future of this league heading into 2025. Really hate things with the Georgia Force, Louisiana Voodoo, Philly Soul. Really like those legacy teams. I'm hoping we can get them back in 25, get them on more solid footing. I actually had no idea, as well connected as I am, I had no idea the Georgia Force was owned by the league until probably the first week of the season. And so, bad situation there. But I'm hoping these three teams can get back up for 25, get stabilized. The league really needs them moving forward. Just really solid legacy franchises that I hope we get back. So, been a tiring last few weeks, and we're going to move on. We're going to look at the bright side, and our darkest days are behind, as I think Steve Titus said, and our good days are ahead. So looking ahead to the future, and that's going to be. We're going to look at this. We're going to look at this next week coming up. I'm going to give you my picks, and we're going to go over the power rankings before we close out today. So as of right now, as we're speaking, still a little bit of uncertainty about the schedule, and so. This could change before tomorrow, but as far as I know, the Wolfpack and Marshalls are playing tomorrow. I think the Marshalls finally get their first win of the season, 42-28. It's 0-4 start for the Wolfpack, really rough start. 2 losses to Oregon that were really close. Played pretty well against a really good West Texas team. And so I think they're starting to play a lot better. Should have won the game last week. Blew it in the last couple minutes there. But I think they go back on top this week, 42-28, as long as that game's played, which I think it's, as we speak right now on this Wednesday afternoon, I think it's going to be played. So got the Wolfpack, 42-28. Next game, Liberty and Regulators. Liberty was surprised a couple weeks ago, went into Nashville and won by 20. I think this is a pretty good Liberty team. Lost by a couple touchdowns to the Outlaws last week. Definitely a lot better than the Regulators. And so we're going to go Liberty 42, Regulators 20. Another big game this week, Predators and Cats. I think this is going to be one of the best games of the week, along with the Firebirds and Hawks we'll talk about in a minute. Predators at home. I think this is going to be a close one. Thinks we won possession. It's going to come down to the wire. The Cats got their quarterback situation stabilized this past week. He's looking really good. But I think the Predators at home win 49-42. E.J. Burt, head coach there, picked up his first win last week. They've had the toughest schedule in the league. They played West Texas twice and Albany once. So really difficult schedule there. Their 1-2 record, if you just look at it, they don't look as good as they probably are. And so I think this is a really good football team. I think this is a team that's going to get better. I think they win at home against the Cats, 49-42 on Saturday. Let's go to the Storm and Black Bears. Billings was originally supposed to go to Southwest Kansas this week, but they're going to be on bye now. The Black Bears are going to go to Southwest Kansas. I don't think the Black Bears are a really good team. I know they're 3-0. They beat Washington twice and a bad Georgia team before they folded. The 2 wins against Washington were only by 1 score. Not real hopeful for this Black Bears team. I think the Storm get back on track, get their second win of the season, 35-29 in a close game. And what I think is the game of the week, the Firebirds and Hawks. I think this is going to be a really good game. I think they're supposed to play later this year in West Texas. We'll see if that ends up happening. I really want to get out there to that game. But I think the Firebirds are the better team as far as what we've looked at over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think the Hawks are really good too. But I think on the road it's going to be a struggle. We're going to go Firebirds 56, Hawks 45 final. Now we're going to finish up. We're going to look at the power rankings this week. We got Albany number 1 at 4-0. I think they're the best team in the league right now. But I do think the league's pretty open. I think any of the top few teams can win the Arena Bowl. But I think Albany is the best team in the league right now. 4-0, wins over impressive win over Orlando. Won by big margin against the Storm this weekend. Has also beat the Cats. I think it's no question they're the number 1 team right now. I got Billings number 2. This was a tough one, probably 2A, 2B, Billings in West Texas. Billings, I think, is a really good team. Got a solid win over Liberty. I know they've not really played anybody much outside of them, but the Liberty went to Nashville and won by 20 and then turned around. Billings beat them by 14. I think Billings is a really good team. They've blown out pretty much everybody they've played outside of Salina too. So I think that's very showing. I think Billings is one of the best teams in the league. We got them right now at 2 at 4-0. West Texas could probably be 2B, 3. West Texas 3-1. They got a win at Orlando, which was impressive. Other 2 wins, not as solid, Georgia and can't remember the other win at the moment, but they're Washington. I'm sorry. They're 3-1. Lost to Orlando this last week at home. I think they're a really solid team. I don't think the offense has got going as much as they would have hoped, but I think it'll get there. I think the offense is really behind from where things usually are as we get the AFL restarted back up. Some of these games have been really low scoring, which has been crazy to me that an AFL game last weekend was 27-25. But I think we're going to get there. I think teams are getting used to the play of the game, and I think we'll eventually get back to where we need to be. But the game itself isn't there yet. There's been a lot of running the ball. I don't think that will last as teams has tried that as we get back to what the AFL used to look like. So don't think that will last either. So a lot of changes in the play of the game. We'll see what happens there as the season progresses and we get closer to the Arena Bowl. We got Orlando at 4 at 1-2. Like I said, played West Texas twice, played Albany once, played the toughest schedule in the league. I know they had a losing record. Got a lot of flack for having a team with a losing record, number 4, but they played the toughest schedule in the league. Really good, solid team. They're going to be dangerous and hard to beat as the year goes on, and so they're going to pick up some more wins, and I think they're going to pick up a win this weekend against Nashville. So 5, we got Salina at 2-1. Had that impressive win in Nashville. That's why we got them ahead of the Cats. So they're looking pretty good. Ron O'Neill, great coach. Wouldn't expect anything less from the Salina team. I think they've overachieved in some ways this year, but I think they're going to be pretty decent, better than people expected. We got them at number 5. Nashville at 2-2 at number 6. Wins not super impressive, but they look pretty good against Wichita. Wichita not a very good team, but the Cats are getting there. The quarterback situation stabilizing. They seem to be putting some pieces together. We'll see how they do in Orlando this week. I expect Orlando to win, but we'll see how that game goes. But right now we got Nashville 6. 7th is Oregon at 3-0. We took a lot of flack on social media for having a 3-0 Oregon team, number 7. But they have 2 wins, as I said earlier, over an 0-4 Washington team and a really bad Georgia Force team that's now defunct. Really hard to progress forward with that kind of schedule. We'll see how they do against the Storm this weekend. I don't think Oregon's very good, but we'll see. I think they're going to stay about around where they're at right now as we close out the season. But we got Oregon number 7. Wichita number 8. Lone win of the season is a win over Southwest Kansas where they came back. Wichita, not a very good team. Don't expect much from the regulators the rest of the year. So Southwest Kansas 2, 1-3. Not been very good. Actually, a little surprising. I thought they would be a little bit better than they are. They looked really bad this weekend against Albany, which, of course, Albany's probably the best team in the league. But didn't look very good. We got Southwest Kansas 9th. 10th, we got Washington. They're 0-4. They have looked better the last few weeks. Defensively, they've actually been pretty decent. They held West Texas to 34 points, which is a pretty good offense. This past weekend, they lost with giving up only 27 points. Not giving up a lot of points. That might be kind of where the AFL play is right now. But defensively, they've been pretty decent this year. And I think they'll finally pick up a win this weekend. Maybe jump a couple spots ahead in the standings next week. We'll see. Because I think they're actually a better team than probably Wichita and Southwest Kansas. But we'll see what happens there. I expect them to pick up their first win of the season against the Marshals tomorrow night. Number 11, the Marshals. Haven't won a game yet. A lot of uncertainty there. They haven't played but 1 or 2 games. We'll see what happens there. I know they had the protest game a couple weeks ago where they didn't play against Billings. I believe they're 0-2 now. I don't have their record up here, but haven't played a couple weeks. But we'll see if that franchise sustains. Don't know what will happen there, but it'll definitely be interesting. So we'll see what happens there. But we got them at number 11. All that said, glad to be back on here. Really excited about the future of the AFL. I know it's been a really hard last few weeks. Been really slow to say anything, but putting it out there. Don't want to talk about any more about Lee Hutton or anything that's happened in the past. Just ready to move forward, ready to watch some great arena football, ready for a future with Jeff Fisher, and ready to finish the season out and head into next year because I think we're going to be in a whole lot more solid place next year than we are right now. I think things are going to be pretty stable. I think we're going to get more teams in. Hopefully some of those teams back as far as Philly, Georgia, and Louisiana. I think those teams really need to come back. So hopefully we'll get those teams back. We'll be in a lot better place next year. But let's move forward. The drama's over. Let's watch some good arena football, and let's press forward. So big thank you to Riverside, our sponsor. I'm sitting in the Riverside studio right now, so big thank you to our Riverside sponsor. We'll be back with you again soon next week before you know it. But in the meantime, always remember, catch the rebound off the net.